If you think that anything about this Gene Hackman case makes sense, you're not paying attention. You see, one of the things which you have to understand that we should be doing is that we always should be speaking on behalf of those who can't speak, for the dead. I'll never forget this. Years ago, as a prosecutor, we had a medical examiner, forensic pathologist. And it was a case involving the usual, I shouldn't say usual, it was a murder. And the pathologist said, this person is speaking to us. This person is saying, look what they did to me. Look what they did. I'm trying to tell you how they did it. Look, I'm leaving you clues. But I'm leaving you the way my body is, the temperature, the algor mortis, the lividity, the livor mortis, the rigor mortis, the rigidity, petechial hemorrhaging, mummification, putrefaction. All of these are indicators of clues of when I died and how I died. But don't let me die in vain. Speak for me. I'm telling you this. And don't abandon your common sense. The most important thing, because this is a cover-up. The Gene Hackman cover-up. Who will speak for him? Who? Something doesn't add up to any of this official story. None of it makes sense. And if you look at it, I'm not just saying this because it's my nature. Sometimes there are deaths and murders that are kind of open and shut. But the deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy, no. This isn't making any sense. See, you start off with little things like the timeline. The timeline is a mess. The cause of death is questionable. The lack of media coverage is absolutely suspicious. And now we have a bombshell revelation, which is the most important, that should be sending shockwaves through law enforcement and media and all of these CSI wannabes. It comes down to simply this. If Betsy Hackman died of hantavirus on February the 11th, then how did she call a doctor's office on February 12th? Anything else? Yes, you heard me. A dead woman made a phone call. A timeline that makes no sense. This is what we're talking about. Let's break it down step by step, okay? Let's look at this. According to the official narrative, Betsy Hackman died of hantavirus, and we'll get to that in a moment, on February the 11th, 2025. Okay. Now, this is a story being peddled by the Santa Fe authorities and mainstream media outlets because they are not reporters, they're repeaters. Whatever they're told, they repeat. The same media that have barely reported on this at all. Yet, we now know that Dr. Josiah Child, who's a respected physician in Santa Fe, has publicly stated that Betsy Hackman personally contacted his clinic on February the 12th, a full day after she was supposed to be dead. Now, this wasn't some clerical error. This wasn't an oops. This wasn't some miscommunication. This was a phone call from the deceased, okay? Now, Betsy Hackman spoke with a medical professional about scheduling an appointment, and there was no mention of any respiratory distress, the very symptom that supposedly killed her. If hantavirus is as deadly as authorities and experts and doctors and physicians have said, and it is unbelievably debilitating, then how in the hell was Betsy Hackman walking around Santa Fe making calls and running errands right up until the moment she supposedly dropped dead from this horrible rodent-borne disease that just debilitates you? And even more troubling, why does no one seem to care? This is the part I don't understand. Who's sick here? Doesn't anybody, aren't you just curious? The story of Gene Hackman's death is even weirder. It's the strangest thing. According to his pacemaker records, this man, this legend, and by the way, with all due respect, doesn't matter if it's Gene Hackman or Larry Hackman or Larry Hackman. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a star for us to be this interested. But if it can happen to him, imagine you or me, a couple of ordinary folks. He died, according to this, a full 7 days after his wife. So for an entire week, this man, this actor, what was he, 90? Known for his resilience, his intelligence, we know this, made no attempt to seek help or did not know, was so enfeebled, so hobbled by his Alzheimer's or senescence, he didn't know how to call anyone. No one checked on him. Gene Hackman, an Oscar-winning icon, just sat in his home for 7 days, doing nothing, eating nothing, drinking nothing. Is this what we're supposed to believe? Does this make any sense to you? I understand that his roles were the tough, he was old. What was he, 95? I mean, 95. So, yeah, Popeye Doyle, he's not. But nothing? Totally bereft of, and let's not forget the third death in this case, one of their dogs. This is really interesting. A family pet left in a crate after surgery, also starved to death. If Gene Hackman was too weak to help himself, wouldn't he have leaked? What would you think? Wouldn't he have at least have had the sense to let the dog out or given it food or water? I mean, in order, from what we're seeing, he was seen a day before. He wasn't out of his mind, because we're making it out to be like he's Joe Biden or something. And he is completely without the ability, so bereft of the ability to recognize things like, forget me, but I love my dog, and my dog is sick, or never stepped over his wife, never walked around, never perambulated, never ambulated, never locomoted about, peregrinated within the house, never just walked around and said, hey. So he was so disconnected from reality that he thought this was normal? What? And if he was, nobody came to see him. The daughters, the son, nobody. And especially assuming that they're the typical situation where there are the vultures waiting for the death. You think they would be even more interested to see how things were, out of curiosity as to how expeditiously they might be receiving their inheritance. But no. And here's another massive problem with the story. Nobody checked on him. I mean, I know he likes, his solace, but with all the caretakers and the people who were there, it was very interesting, because you're going to be finding out about there was a caretaker of sorts who thought maybe they were angered because he didn't see them. Maybe who knows? I'm getting stuff secondhand, third hand. I'm getting information like I'm double parked, like I'm like drive by. I'm getting little snippets. But this man that a lot of people really loved and knew, he was one of the noted people, even though he enjoyed his solitude, a man with children, friends, and business contacts, and a loyal fan base, and people. Very few people come into contact with no one. There's a mailman. There's a, There's something. There's a cable. There's a something. Somebody just checks. He was completely alone, ignored for a week. Unless somebody was there pushing people away, which we haven't heard about. So that's the first thing. Well, that's one of many things. Where were the phone calls? Where were the check-ins? Where was anything? We don't know, because remember, the Santa Fe police, the first thing they're going to try to do is to cover their ass and to let them, that they did nothing wrong. And if there's anybody here who are any malefactors involved in this, they're going to do everything that they can to let you know that they did nothing wrong. I mean, none of this makes any sense. Be a detective. Think. Hantavirus, or is it some convenient excuse? Think about this one. Oh, I would love to get on trial with this, get some expert witnesses. Let's talk about this so-called death of Betsy from hantavirus. Authorities claim that Betsy Hackman contracted this deadly disease. One so rare, a rara avis, a rare bird. Only a handful of cases exist in the United States each year. So anyway, so she got it. So hantavirus causes severe respiratory distress, often leading to hospitalization. I mean, it is brutal. We're not talking about some COVID. We're talking serious. Not that I'm trying to mislead COVID. I'm not talking about the flu. Okay. But we're supposed to believe that Betsy Hackman died at home without seeking any medical treatment. Nobody knew. She never picked up the phone before, because when this thing builds up, I mean, you're like, not 911, not nothing. It doesn't hit you like that. Not only that, but she was shopping and she was running errands and making doctor's appointments up until the moment she supposedly dropped dead, and then made an appointment with a doctor the next day. Wouldn't someone notice? Wouldn't someone notice the symptoms? Wouldn't she have struggled to breathe? The first thing you do is, and before, when you're getting that sick, especially let's assume she's never had anything like this. If all of a sudden you had hantavirus come over, I mean, you had like asthma, nuclear asthma, you're going to be calling nothing. Wouldn't she have at least mentioned feeling unwell? Hello, doctor. Yes, I'm dead and I'm calling. By the way, I'm having a little bit of difficulty breathing. In fact, I'm not breathing at all. Even medical professionals are raising red flags. They're saying, wait a minute, what? One Los Angeles-based doctor has gone on record saying that the idea of an otherwise healthy woman dying suddenly from hantavirus defies medical understanding, medical reality, medical fact, medical certainty, medical anything. This isn't a disease that just kills you overnight. It's progressive. It's debilitating. It's obvious. It's agonizing. Hello! So why wasn't Betsy Hackman hospitalized? How do we know she's got? What tissues are there? Were there lungs? After she was supposedly, mummified, they said? You're able to I don't know. This I don't know. I need expert witnesses for this. Why wasn't, I guess, she rushed to a doctor? Why was she booking appointments instead of calling 911? And why? Why, of all the possible causes of death, did authorities land on something as rare as hantavirus? Why not cardiac arrest? It happens. Every year in this country, 800,000 people drop dead. Or natural causes. Remember the 5 causes of death, sources of death. It's NASH, actually it's 4. NASH, N-A-S-H, natural, accidental, suicide, or homicide. If it's not homicide, if it's not suicide, if it's not accidental, it's natural. Some people just die. And you can say, based upon the degree of decomposition and putrescence of the body, we can't do a postmortem, and nobody would have said anything. But hantavirus? And then the $80 million question, who benefits? Cui bono, cui prodest? Or podest, I should say, or prodest. Gene Hackman's estate is worth, a reported, they keep saying $80 million. Okay? But now his fortunes might be tied up, maybe in private trusts, meaning that the details of who inherits what is going to be muddied and protected and remains a secret and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. But the interesting thing is, could there be financial motives at play here? Could somebody have wanted to ensure that their claim to Hackman's estate remained uncontested? These are questions the media should be asking. But instead, they're silent. They keep showing me pictures of, the French Connection. This is a case that was closed too quickly. Despite all of these glaring contradictions, the Santa Fe medical examiner has doubled down on the hantavirus explanation. Oh, no. The sheriff's office seems content to let the case slide, despite evidence that doesn't add up. So why? Is this incompetence? Is this a cover-up? Is there some kind of a conspiracy? Why? And why is law enforcement in such a hurry to close the case? Why don't you want to seem thorough? Make the public say, for Christ's sake, it's been a month. Let it go. No, we want to be thorough. You've been thorough enough. That's the reaction you want. We've seen this before too many times. Celebrity deaths, high-profile cases, and sudden disappearances. You go through it. I mean, it's the weirdest thing in the world. You think with a culture that is so interested in CSI and mysteries and Columbo and everything, we would be a little bit more adept at asking the right questions. And all of this is met with the same rushed, prepackaged conclusions, the same nonsense. This isn't just negligence. This is a pattern. Hello? I'm telling you, why aren't the media investigating this? You're struggling for relevance. Do something that at least is interesting. If this were any other celebrity, the media would be in a frenzy. If this were a politician, a billionaire maybe, or a media mogul, okay, maybe. Maybe there would be something like, I don't know, like maybe round-the-clock speculation, demands for a full investigation, public outrage. Not here. But because it's Gene Hackman, I don't know why. By the way, he's a liberal. I don't know if that means anything, or was a liberal. The media are treating it just like another obituary. I don't get it. Why? Is it because he's old and old people dying, and we don't really care about her because she's just a wife and he's 95? I don't know. What do they want us to know? That's the part. Who is being protected? It's a fascinating question. Who? And the unanswered questions are incredible that no one wants to ask. This is the part. This is it. It's not so much the answers as a question. How did Betsy Hackman, number one, again, make a phone call after she supposedly died? That's question number one. Number two, why did Gene Hackman remain alone for a week without seeking help? Number three, why did no one check on him? Not his children, his friends, his colleagues, nobody. Number four, why is law enforcement rushing to close this case despite clear contradictions and indications of something not right? Number five, why isn't the media, or aren't the media, I should say, investigating this suspicious story? The bottom line is this: the story stinks. This isn't just a tragedy. Please, it's a mystery that reeks of something far more sinister. I'm not going to apologize for my incredulity. A devoted couple, married 34 years or whatever, both dead under bizarre circumstances. A dog left to die. A dead woman making phone calls. An $80 million estate left in legal limbo. Maybe. We don't know about that. A rare disease that nobody gets, used as an excuse for a story that defies common sense. It's amazing. But when you put it all together, what you have isn't a tragic accident. It's a case that screams for answers. Until somebody starts demanding the truth, this story is going to be buried along with Gene and Betsy Hackman. But the facts don't lie. The timeline doesn't lie. And neither should we. If we will let this go unchallenged, unexamined, we may never know what really happened to him and his wife. Who will speak for them? That's what I started telling you at first. Who speaks for these people? You know what? We do. And if nobody will, we'll say, you know what? What do you think? We want to be answered. Why? Because we say we want to be answered. Now, do me a couple of favors. First of all, please like this video. Very critical. For the algorithm, please hit that little bell and notifications so you'll be notified of new videos and live streams. Please subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, because 87% of the people who watch this don't subscribe. And also, in the area below, comment as you see fit. What do you think happened?